Kawai's super producer. Put some respect on her name. And you are waking up with word, y'all. At this time in studio, we have T.S. Hawkins, international author, performance poet, activist, and emerging playwright. Her plays and short works include Seeking Silence, Cartons Ultrasound, and many, many more. Let's get into it. Welcome to the program. Thank you for waking up with word, T.S. Hawkins.
Hello,
we need
morning.
an applause button right there. We need that, with an intro like that, we need applause button. Blah, 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 blah. Tell us about how you got started in terms of what types of seeds were planted in your mind and in your spirit to get you to this level of international recognition that you are today. I don't want to disconnect you from the people based on your accomplishments. I love for people to share, their testimony and their process of development so that they can maybe, pour into some young people, to create the T.S. Hawkins of tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's still a testimony. It's still a journey. I started really focusing on my work in 2005.
Okay.
At the one and only Temple University.
2005? That's recent.
No, I finished school in 06, but I really didn't think about honing my work until 05.
So if somebody was coming to you in 2004, what would you tell them was your career goals or what you thought you would be doing with your life at this point?
Oh, I was supposed to be just a teacher.
Okay. Well, not just a teacher.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. As a professor, I'm like, hey, no, I'm just kidding.
No, education is the crux of who I am.
Okay.
Yeah, just to teach elementary school.
And what made that change? At what point did you say, this could be me?
Dr. Kamika Williams-Witherspoon. She teaches poetry as performance and poet ethnography at Temple University.
Wow.
And I actually took that class because, electives. Got to fill them course credits. And
powerful.
I took it as something I thought it was going to be an easy fluff course. I literally said the first day of class, she introduced herself. She came in the room, this amazing queen, goddess of everything, beads and cowrie shells and braids just emanating from her. And she's like, why are you here for this course? I was like, well, because I know it's an easy A and I can Dr. Seuss my way out of it.
Oh, you kept it real.
I did.
Okay, trying to get a little too real. I was like, mess up your situation.
that was young me.
What was her response to that?
And she was like, okay, you'll learn.
Wow.
And I did. The first time I took that course, I actually failed.
Oh.
I failed. That was the first teacher who ever gave me an F ever.
So you said learn, you mean like Kevin Hart, you're going to learn today.
Oh,
I thought you meant you'll learn, you'll get there. No, you meant you'll learn.
I learned that semester.
The hard way.
And I took it again because, grades.
Yeah, GPA. Right?
Yeah, right. And, my mama wasn't having it. Black mamas don't play that noise. And she's like, poetry. Who feels poetry?
How did that go over with the family? I got an F for fluidity, and I got an F for flawless, but no, you failed.
How basic are you? You can't rhyme? That's the whole,
Wow,
thing.
And look at you now.
Yeah.
So continue, though. So you took the class again, right?
I took the class again, and I got the grade that I should have gotten in the first place if I had worked hard. And
was the passion ignited at that point?
It was, because it wasn't just about putting words on the page. It was literally about immersing yourself in the work and the context of how you wanted to connect with the audience. And something broke in me.
Wow.
And I found myself, I was in the beginning of finding myself. I always enjoyed poetry because I was like, wow, this is something amazing, but I never really thought it was something that I could actually do. And being in that course really changed me. So I took as many more courses with Kamika as I could. I became her TA one year.
Oh, you knew.
Now I was engulfed.
He said, I'm not leaving. How do I stay in this class one more time?
I did, and she helped me write my first book.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just went to China with Sister Witherspoon.
Say what?
Yeah, see how small world this is?
Yeah.
I went to China with, they have something called the Confucius Institute, which some critiques about what they're doing in Africa, but different story, different day. So for our trip, though, they have a group that goes that are students and a group that goes that are staff and faculty. And we were part of the staff and faculty group, this 2018 group. So just a few months ago, we were all out in China, going to different cities and taking different courses in Chinese language and culture and shopping at the shops.
That sounds on brand. That sounds like Mama Witherspoon.
Yeah, no, we're all out there again, like really culturally immersed and learning and growing, and it was beautiful. We had some great conversations, it's, you know, about race and poetry and politics. So I understand how she can, you know, have that transformative effect.
Oh, very transformative, because yeah, it's more than just Dr. Seuss. Like, especially with the poetic ethnography class, like being immersed in the community that you're actually, you know, scheduled to write about. And not just like from an observer lens, like being involved in that day to day.
Now, what are some of the subjects that you particularly like to cover in terms of people who aren't really familiar with your work, even though we'll get into that after the break? What are some of the things that you really like to bring forth in your work?
I'm very social political, a little bit too political and too militant, my family
No such thing. No such thing.
No, I'm one of those people you bring to a dinner party, you're like, crap.
She's going to bring up everything that's not supposed to be brought up.
TS. We're just trying to have turkey. And I was like, no. Like, you know, I'm one of those people.
Where do we start? Politics, race, religion?
Yeah, literally the whole gamut. Like, why are we here for Thanksgiving? Let's break that down. Like,
that's a good point, though.
I was like, we're celebrating Thanksgiving, and, you know, the native indigenous people don't even have rights and ownership to their own land, but yet we're carving turkey and sipping on cranberry sauce. Like, I'm that person. It's like...
Sipping on sauce. Sipping on sauce.
So yes, a lot of my stuff is social political. I mainly want to highlight Black and brown voices, especially Black and brown queer voices, Black and brown female voices, and femmes. So that's really my goal.
Now, what are some of the most positive things that you've encountered in terms of feedback? You know, sometimes people say, you know, there's certain affirmations that you get from people that come and tell you about your work. Like you're saying about Sister Witherspoon, this is what you were able to do for me. Do people, you know, come to you and just tell you how your work has touched their lives and, you know, validated their thoughts and identities and all that? Like, well, tell us some of those stories.
Yeah, I really enjoy the folks that say that they've been seen. Like, there's always a nugget of my work there, like, that was me. And I'm glad that you were able to just be raw about it and tell that specific truth. One of my works, The Secret Life of Wonder, Prologue in G, actually highlights a lot of things that, you know, as female-bodied individuals, we're told that we have to keep quiet about. Like, women are to be seen and not heard, and there's always that uncle or that pastor or even that paternal father figure who's doing something that he shouldn't be doing, and stripping away the innocence and the humanity of a young female identified person, and just bringing that to light in a choreo poem way, and then having people come up to me be like, that's my story, that's a part of my truth. And I'm glad someone was able to do it and get other people to feel that way.
Now, people talk about the intersectionality of various groups, multicultural and different groups. I think it's a whole nother level when these identities exist in one person.
Yes.
And I know that it's interesting to have, you know, people communicate with you that have blind spots.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so as a man, I'm going to have blind spots. Cisgender, I'm going to have blind spots. As an ally who might be a white woman who might identify maybe in terms of her sexual orientation but not racially, there's going to be blind spots. So to be in this space where it seems to be an interesting vantage point into multiple groups' so-called identities and even the things that they don't see, what are some of the things that you find, I guess, most advantageous and potentially instructive for the various groups you interact with, being in this peculiar space where you're like, oh, I identify that way, and that way, right? You understand what people say when they say, it's a black thing.
I do.
And when they say you wouldn't understand, you understand.
I understand.
When people say, no, we're unseen as queer people, you're like, I got it, like, been there. And then people say, well, if you're not a woman, you don't, so to be in this space where you exist as the epitome of intersectionality in certain regards, what are some of the ways that you can, I don't know, inform some of the various blind spots? I know you do through your work, but just in terms of now just talking on this platform, what are some of the things you would want people to be aware of, you know, or just take into consideration?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I know I'm not the spokesperson for intersectionality.
There's a lot of groups you're talking for, right?
This is a lot. I was like,
talk for the blacks and the women and the queer. But I think the insight is important because a lot of people, they don't have these conversations.
And a lot of people are afraid to have those conversations. And even as someone who walks in an intersectional space, often finding that's, you know, my own safe space, be like, you know what, sometimes at the end of the day, it's not my job to school you. You know, people out there exist. Read a book. But I'm all for if someone is genuinely, you know, like, this is the first time I'm ever having this conversation, and I'm like, it's 2019, but I guess, sure.
Yeah, how is that, but? Yeah.
You're from rural somewhere, and this is your first encounter.
There are some places like that, right?
Yeah.
Even in 2019.
Even in 2019. So I always take a moment to try to call people in as opposed to call people out. But when it gets to the point where it's just like, no, you could have read this in a book, I find a way ever so gingerly to be like, and you can read this, 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 and this, and I'll see you in about a month or two, and we can have this conversation again.
Powerful. And we're going to get into the work that has made T.S. Hawkins, if you're just tuning in, an international author, performance poet, activist, and emerging playwright. So get your snaps ready, and we are going to enter Word Poetry Jam on the other side. I smell the incense. I see the candles. Is that a dashiki on my chest? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My hair is locking up as we speak. No, I don't even have that much hair. But it's just going to be a beautiful experience. I think it's important that we showcase the arts in a way that we illustrate its transformative potential. And hopefully we can, you know, I say we like I wrote something. I ain't doing nothing. I'm the Don Cornelius coming to the stage, right? But I think that it's beautiful that we got the potential to change and touch a life. And somebody who might not feel like they've been seen,
right,
possibly ever, on the other side of this break, might find that connection. You're waking up with Word, y'all.
Wake Up with Word with Dr. Aaron Smith. We'll be right back. Don't miss the Electric Magazine Show, hosted by Cody Anderson and Vicky Leach. Saturday mornings from 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Temple University was founded on the belief that everyone in our city deserves an opportunity to do and be more. Today, that's still our belief. We are committed to strengthening Philadelphia, starting with the community we share with our neighbors. Scott Charles and Amy Goldberg lead several programs at Temple that aim to reduce gun violence, a serious public health problem affecting many communities in Philadelphia.
I've said it a number of times, I really wouldn't want to work anywhere else, and it's really special. I don't take it for granted when I drive up Broad Street every morning to come to work. The privilege that it is to care for patients in this community, to work side by side with our medical school faculty and our hospital staff, it is really very special.
One of the things that drives me and compels me to keep doing this is my belief that we can change this, that we do not have to accept the rates of gun violence as a city as this insurmountable challenge. And, you know, this is why I continue to do this work, with the hope that we're going to see fewer shootings, we're going to see people better off than they were when we met them.
See what's possible, temple.edu.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend, we created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
HeartSpace is coming. The free pop-up wellness experience returns March 7th through the 10th. Visit the bookstore, then heal and be inspired with art, readings, conversations on diversity, paint therapy, and more at Utility Works, 32 East Baltimore Avenue in Lansdowne. Details at newseasonbooks.com.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Let's go! You're waking up with Word.
Waking up with Word, y'all.
On Word Radio. Black Talk Media.
Go, Scared of Revolution. Okay, 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, WURDradio.com. Listen live anytime and log on. I am your host this evening at the poetry. Oh, it's not the evening. It felt like the evening, right? Okay, we're going to get into some poetry. T.S. Hawkins. If you don't know the name, you will remember the name after we get into this piece right here. I'm just hyping it, right? Give us some social media, website information, because people love to research people as they hear them on the radio.
That's the age we're in now, right?
Yeah, they already Googling, so
like,
let's help them out.
All right. Luckily, I'm Googleable. Of course, T.S. Hawkins, you can find me at tspoetics.com, and that's tspoetics.com. You can find me on Twitter. Though my Twitter's a little basic. Like I tweet once in a blue moon. But
you're not presidential with it.
Oh no. Oh no.
4 in the morning. I got inspired.
I got thoughts. North Korea.
North Korea.
But I'm also on Twitter at TSPoet.
All right.
Yeah.
And with that being said, as many pieces as you feel like doing, you can break them down first. You can go, back to back. It's up to you.
I chose. I don't want to say like it's long because I didn't know how much the time was, but this piece, Sweet Reality, which I turned into a choreo play, which is amazing, a 10-minute choreo play. And I think
for those who don't know, when you say choreo play, just to break it down.
Yes, it follows the line of Shange's work. Intejaki Shange, who curated For Color Girls, is basically taking a series of poems and stringing them together to tell one story.
Appreciate that definition.
Absolutely. So this piece is called Sweet Reality. Say her name. The little brown bubble of joy that coos at her toes, loves the color red, drinks chocolate milk exclusively from a curly straw, who dances on her daddy's size 10s, plays in mommy's hair, eats Nana's pancakes before skipping to school, but never to return home. Because somewhere between the first period bell and the sound of sneakers racing over linoleum, bullet stains find dories saturated on the back of broken promises. Say her name. The Coco Cutie, that some say is too grown too fast. Her straight A midriff always half the conversation at 16. She speaks 2 languages and is often misunderstood. Her soul, the half-breed of hip-hop and opera, score her scholarship necessary to write love poems to her soon-come lover, while being a strophic soubrette for her moms on Mother's Day. But this upcoming May, the aria she pinned on her heartstrings falls on mute wings because somewhere between text messaging and the click of lockers concluding the day, 3 boys stripped the remains of her naivete. Through bathroom stalls and grasp for help, the replay, too much to endure. Across her wrist she composed her final ode. Say her name. The mahogany maven, adored by few, abhorred by many, with no nonsense wit and a fork-vexed tongue for the masses, was told she made a mistake. Somewhere between waking to morning and knowing her worth. Poppy Edwards, India Clark, Sandra Bland, London Chanel, Ty Underwood, Yasmin Vash Payne, Candace Capri, Penny Proud, Amber Monroe, Tanisha Anderson, Ayanna Stanley Jones, Yvette Smith, Miriam Casey, Shelley Frey, Darnisha Harris, Melissa Williams, Aisha Thomas, Chantel Davis, Rakia Boyd, Sharice Francis, Tarika Wilson, Katherine Johnston, Alberta Spruell, Kendra James, Maya Young, Sky Maccabee, Doran Gaines, Deborah Danner. Muzzled by privilege and power, regulated to happenstantial hashtag she, the nation's marrow, yet the blood of her purpose streams thin, muted in the ticker tape of a movement bludgeoned and battered, abused and benign, relic souls plead for no more. Say her name. 2. The curve of her spine, no longer capable of serving as whipping boy, splayed in master's delight, salted marrow, seasoned root-rotted legacy bears a mother's milk of strange fruit. Stillborn sons and decadent daughters dangle in the right light, taste freedom at the base of severed throats, leaving blood in the water. Like sipped tea on the transatlantic exchange, understood solely by bookend legislation, middle passages of destitute confusion drafted remnants of hope into veins, yet the prodigal eyes gaze back never, settling for censored sight. Melanin of power melds to mass mediocrity that decry the sails of change. Discount diversity oozing from their mouths, wiped dinner napkins stained with your name, dedicated through your DNA, recitation reach unknown. 3. How would it feel to always have my name in your mouth? Delectation on your tongue, soothing safe spaces between your gums, burrowing placated pleasantries that fricative against a crooked smile, but never grazing your lips. How would it feel? Having my truths titillate your tonsils, trickle your tainted throat, coating the oppressive gutter speak used to malign my presence, lining the intestines that revile me due to ignorance, insatiate belly craving my acceptance. How would it feel, knowing that you're deaf and dumb to the reach of sanctuary solely at my helm? Weep and moan for solace seasoned to my taste. Lapped legislative laymen hounding for seconds with you begging for a whiff of hope. You see, this is for white folk who find folly in blackness, who profit and manhandle humanity due to hue, who plunder and pillage, who choke at apology, yet privilege off despotic democracy, who seldom say a word for justice, but bank on brown, silent resilience.
T.S. Hawkins. I know you're here talking. I just make it rhyme. I didn't do it right. No, I appreciate. You can call up. You want to take some calls? You want to talk to people?
Sure.
Let's talk.
Is there a way?
Yeah, they won't. No, you're waking up with work, child. They won't. 215-634-8065. That'd be beautiful to have some of our aspiring and established artists, and some people even, who have visions and dreams to express themselves creatively on this type of platform. Call with the Cleo, right? Sister Cleo, the fake. Call them in now. 215-634-8065, because today we have the real in here, T.S. Hawkins, or toll free 1-866-361-0900. And talk to us about some of the more popular artists that you find inspiration from, even in past or present.
Oh yeah, there's so many. There's so many. So, I mean, if we're talking about music, I am really, fueled by Solange and India Ari. We're talking about poetry, though. My poetry is still a little bit old school. I can't even lie. I pull from, of course, Dr. Kamika Williams Witherspoon. Robert Frost is my jam. Because for those two completely different human beings and different walks of life, I find melding those two kind of voices, like the quote-unquote classic and the social political classic for me, is where I find myself. So those are my inspirational tools.
And in terms
and Shange, of course.
Oh, okay.
Mother Shange.
In terms of the places you go, just talk about some of the responses. Like, I know sometimes people say when they go into a space with young children, and they'll see their eyes light up in terms of possibilities, or even just seeing you, and they might expect a white woman or even a white man, and just to hear, because just to see your initials, of course, people don't know what to expect sometimes,
and they shouldn't.
And then I'm saying, but talk about that moment, I guess for good and for humorous. Oh yeah, right.
Well, of course, when I email people, everyone thinks I'm a 40-year-old white man, so that I love, because I was like, oh, so I get respect automatically. This is
you
great.
can tell by the language that they don't know who you are,
exactly.
Which is unfortunate, but telling, right?
And then when I walk into a room, they're like, oh, everyone's here are possible because they're here.
Wow, no, that's powerful to really help them to see that they are stars too, in the making. I think that's a beautiful testament. How can people get your work when they're hearing, these pieces and everything? Like, where do they find your work? How do they get involved? And then we'll get into an event coming up,
Absolutely. I mean, you can find me, of course, on my website, www.tspoetics.com. Amazon.com has all of my things, right? The typical places. Barnes & Noble has my stuff.
Wherever books are sold.
Yeah, wherever they still print those. Yeah. Wherever those are printed. They can get it. You also get ebooks and stuff, of course, on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. And then, of course, you could hire me. Fly me out. I'll be there, and I bring my merch as well as I bring my brilliance.
Yeah, you can do it live, right?
Yeah, I do it live.
Why just read the book, right? Well, you can book why just read the book when you can book a flight?
That's all I'm saying.
Cartons of ultrasounds.
Yes.
Please talk to us about the Order of the Creative Day with this presentation.
So that has lived 4 separate times, which is great. But it's coming back to New York at the end of the month, March 21st through 24th, at the Tank. And it is debuting this time around as a one-person show. Before I did it myself, because you know, when you're young and no one knows who you are, it was me and puppets and mask making by Kyla, which was very amazing.
Wow.
So now I get to step back and just live in playwright space and have another person jump and live my work. But that also just talks about how the world trains women to be missing and forgotten, to be seen and unheard, and you follow this woman's journey of having to learn what her skin feels like, what her body feels like, without the stereotypes of life encompassing her.
And again, where can they find information in order to get tickets and, make sure they can catch the show while it's there?
Absolutely. Of course, like I said, you can visit my website. It gives you a direct link to the tickets, www.tspoetics.com. You can also go to the theater where they have the tickets, are selling them the day of the show, and also buy them online, and it's the Tank. And I believe it's, if you just Google Tank NYC.
Okay.
And you'll be able to purchase tickets there. The tickets, I've made sure that theater is affordable. Yes, it's in New York, but the tickets are only $12.
Oh, wow. And it's March 21st through March 23rd at 7 p.m.
Yes.
And 24th at 3 p.m.
Yes,
right?
that is our matinee.
No, I hear you. So a lot of people, they want to know about that matinee. Not just for the prices. I have my AR peeps. Some of whom might be thinking about bedtime around 7, and they might want to be getting back to the city around 9 or 10. So,
absolutely.
Matinee. We got the matinee. We're going to take a quick break, but I just want to thank you for, sharing your gift. I want to encourage everybody, Cartons of Ultrasounds. Any final words, thoughts, or encouragement, or websites, or anything social media related, please sign off as you see fit.
Absolutely. Again, you can find me at www.tspoetics.com, but I'm really thankful for you guys sharing your space and your home with me. You got me up early on the morning on a day where I usually work from home.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be productive today.
Yeah,
right?
I'm already up. I'm showered. I got on makeup and shoes. Like, I'm doing, I'm doing big things on a Friday. So thank you so much for sharing space.
Ain't it? Wow.
Yeah.
It don't even feel like a Friday. We're doing so much work up in here. Thank you so much, T.S. Hawkins. And thank you all for listening and continuing to support the arts, because it's very important to make sure that the arts get an increased position in the educational process in our schools. And we have to make sure that we show what we value, not just through our eyeballs and our attention and our platforms, but also our dollars, because if we value the arts, then the market will adjust accordingly and say, oh, that's what y'all like. There's a danger to that, because they're going to try to water it down and change the messages, but at least we'll have, the support that we need initially to fight that fight, the good fight. Aaron Smith, she's Queen Quasha. T.S. Hawkins, thank you, and thank you for waking up with Word, y'all.
Word Radio News Update with Vincent Thompson.
Good morning.